And welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here with Laurie Pushor. He is the Alberta Energy Regulator, President and CEO. Laurie, we were just talking about new sort of forms of energy production that are becoming available for production in Alberta. I think you were talking about brine, if I'm not mistaken. So please continue with your thought on that.
Well, in both oil and gas production, there's a lot of water that comes to surface and it's re-injected. But those brines contain a variety of different minerals. The one of most interest right now is lithium. So we have a couple pilot projects in the province that are just moving into production to test their processes. Being able to extract lithium from those brines would be a really big a step forward in terms of access to lithium for the world. And Alberta's got some companies right at the forefront of that.
Really? So this is very interesting. So I guess if this process works, this extraction process, then Alberta could be part of the solution when it comes to our critical minerals demand and supplying maybe EV battery plants elsewhere in the country. Is that right?
That's correct. And certainly the brines offer other minerals as well that might be there longer term to look at as people move forward. Also, the province has just released a new mineral strategy, and Alberta often has lagged in mineral production. I think in large part it's a personal opinion because there's so much oil and gas here. When you look in the subsurface, why would you keep looking for another resource? But a great deal of work has been done in the Alberta Geological Survey to compile a huge amount of new public geoscience to help companies who might be interested in looking for other mineral resources across Alberta. And there's some encouraging prospects there, everything from kimberlite, which of course is a predictor of potential for diamonds, all the way through to many of the critical minerals that you're contemplating, vanadium and some of those others that'll trip me up on my tongue.
Yeah, no, that makes a total sense to me as well, because we find these minerals to the north of Alberta, to the east of Alberta. So really, it's just a case of starting to look. Is that what you're finding?
There's certainly some very encouraging prospects out there. A number of properties are already held in our early stage of exploration, and the Geological Survey that's part of the AER is in the process of rolling out an extensive amount of new geoscience information to help companies look for it.
So I think the timing is impeccable here, Laurie, as well, because since we booked you on this program, we have had the recent Supreme Court of Canada decision on the federal legislation, which is called Bill C-69, on the environmental assessment. So do you have any thoughts or reactions to that Supreme Court decision?
Well, we are an arm's length regulator. We take policy direction from the government of Alberta. So, it's not really my place to comment on the decision itself.
Fair enough.
Would just say that as a regulator, we have robust regulatory standards and expectations and mature processes. So notwithstanding what may or may not happen, we're prepared to regulate any project that fits in our mandate.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that then. That it sounds what you're saying is that you feel comfortable that Alberta interests, Canadian interests can be protected with your work.
Well, we're pretty committed to the mission here to ensure we protect the environment and human health and safety while facilitating production in these spaces. It's interesting to look at the industry in Alberta. We produce, somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think, about 450,000 barrels a day of production, or excuse me, 4 million barrels a day of production. I just had a relapse back to when I worked in Saskatchewan there. Sorry about that. But 3.5 to 4 million barrels of production. We are, like I said, 2/3 of the natural gas production in this province, in this country. 440,000 kilometers of pipelines are regulated. Last year, we saw 8 incidents of significance across that entire pipeline infrastructure. So, pretty high standards in Alberta, and we're pretty pleased about that. I think the government has put in place in Alberta some of the highest standards in the world, if not the highest, and our job is to make sure companies are compliant. And so we work all day, every day to ensure companies are meeting those expectations.
Got about 30 seconds before the break, but you're confident that there is basically compliance with the regulated companies?
compliance is really strong in Alberta, and I can give you some more detail on that if you're interested.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic because, again, our audience is a wider Canadian audience, and that they might be interested in some of the specifics. But we are going to take another break, Laurie, just for a commercial break. We'll be back with you after that. Please stay with us.